What is up, RotoGrinders? Dean here. Dean 7904 if you want to get all technical myself. And we have TJ Zwarych. You know what? I'm hearing myself talk back to myself. I had to pause that. Hopefully you guys did not hear that. We got TJ Zwarych, multitasking. He's producing. He's doing some analyzing. We're talking a little bit of football first, then the basketball slate. Basketball slate tips off 8 o'clock. Football locks 8:15. Football first, then basketball. Also, two-time millionaire winner. It's HeadChopper. Chop, we have an hour to make this work. Talking football first. How are things in your world?
They're fine, Dean. You know, a little Monday night. I mean, I like the NBA setup. I like it when everything starts at one time. That's great, man. And this beats last week where there was only 3 games. This is 5 games, and it's all. So I like that aspect of it. You know, so we'll get it. I don't like being up against crunch time, you know, the crunch time stuff when we're still like Malachi Branham just ruled out. Like, that's going to change the builds now. Now you got to go back and rerun all the numbers and figure out who that helps. And so, but we're on the show and we're going to do it. We're going to make it happen.
Do you want to say what's up to those hanging out in the chat? Again, talking football first, then talking basketball. I'm with you, Chop. I love this basketball slate tonight. I wish the contests were a little bit better. I think in part the contests kind of stink because there's football and they want you to focus on football. I think that's what the sites want you to do, and that's what we're going to talk about here. Dolphins. My friends might be Dolphins. A lot of my friends are Dolphin fans down here in South Florida. Me, never really caught on for me. In Los Angeles, 48.5 is the total. The Rams are 2.5 3-point favorites here. A pretty big number in the dome. Chop, your assessment. How do we see Miami taking on the Rams? Tyreek Hill is going to give it a go with that wrist. I don't really know how to assess that. He's not been great. He's dealing with an injury, but we've all seen, when he gets loose in the secondary, just wave him bye-bye. And if you don't have him, wave bye-bye to your money. But, that's kind of the spot we're at right now. Dolphins kind of sputtering, Rams playing a little bit better. Do you have a thought overview as far as this game? How are you seeing it? How are you forcing certain builds? Are you somebody that says, well, I got to have 2 4s. I got to have 2 4s. I got to have 3 3s. It's going to be a balanced game where it's just you're all over the place as far as your builds. They're on different darts.
Wow, you didn't even go to TJ for the intro. You just went straight into it, man.
I acknowledge his existence, but that wasn't intentional. He's there. He'll pounce in. He's going to get his usage in. Don't worry about it.
I don't ever go into it. Well, it'd have to be a really lopsided defense, one defense being great, the offense being bad type of thing for me to ever go, yeah, I'm going to intentionally go a bunch of 5-1 or 4-2. I'm just looking at the players themselves and my games and my different game scripts, game flows that I have. And so mostly this one is made up of just a lot of offense here. I just think 2 really highly efficient offenses going at it. Defenses I don't think are going to offer, too much resistance. Yeah, they're going to get some stops here and there, and there's going to be mistakes made by the offense. But I think they can really move with everybody getting a little bit healthy now on both sides of the ball. I know you mentioned Tyreek, but we'll talk about him in a minute. With everybody getting a little bit healthy, I think the offenses are in really good spots here. So most of my stuff is revolves around that aspect of game script. Lots of offense. Some for the Rams, some builds Rams heavy with offense, some builds Dolphins heavy with offense. But I think the underlying factor is I'm not too keen on the defenses, and for the first time, I'm not not the first time, but rarely am I not particularly interested too much in the kickers. The kickers are usually a really good source of showdown value. Tonight, I feel like we're going to get a lot of touchdowns.
TJ, my apologies for no pleasantries. We were talking before the show, and I felt like we were already at that stage of But TJ, welcome to the show, as always. One of the greatest DFS players in all of Saskatchewan, Canada. Doing a little multitasking with not just giving some analysis, also producing the show. TJ, how are we seeing the slate? What is your overview as far as Dolphins and the Rams?
Should be fun. Should be some points scored. I'm looking forward to diving into this one and watching the game. Devon Achane, I think, is going to be my favorite captain play for tournaments and optimal single entry cash kind of things. Big fan of this game. I like HN is probably my favorite option up top. Kyron Williams number 2, Tyreek Hill number 3. I'm getting to a ton of Tyreek Hill, and it does worry me.
Yeah, what is your thought? Like, how do you even factoring that in as far as your projection of his injury and the fact that he's a receiver and he's dealing with a wrist? And frankly, it's been a bad year for him. I know there's been some excuses of quarterback play and all that, but this could be the week he finally gets loose. But if he can't catch, and I assume he can catch, but maybe it's a little bit more of a hindrance. Are you over? Are you under? Where's the field at? I'm seeing Hill on DK, Kaplen at 3, 4, 5%, which to me seems a little bit low.
Yeah, I feel like it's got to be higher than that. I'm going to put Hill at captain in one of my 3 lineups just because I saw that super low projected ownership on him. But I can't imagine it's going to be like 3 or 4%. I still bet it's going to be like 10.
Most popular as far as just like flex plays. You mentioned Achane. He is the most popular player currently. 47% on DK. Stafford, Nakua, and then there's Tua at 40%. The other running back on the other side, Kyron Williams, around 40%. So those 4, and I guess Cooper Kupp at 38. I guess those 5 between 38 and 47%, which makes sense. That all kind of sort of somewhat checks out. Chop, you have a favorite captain, a favorite stand of like, I know this player is projecting to be super heavy. I'm gonna be well under, or maybe hit the X button, or vice versa the other way. Somebody that's not popping, but you're gonna elevate on purpose.
Yeah, Dean, we're treading a fine line here, a tight line here, Dean. I don't want to give away my Plums play of the night this early, but it's offensive. Let me see. As far as like a guy who's gonna guy who's getting ownership that I just might not get to as much, probably somebody like Jonnu Smith. That's a lot of ownership for him. I don't know that the upside is, and he doesn't have to have a massive upside with that salary, but yeah, I feel like that's more likely than not to miss most weeks, like at that ownership. And so a guy like that, like I won't have any Raheem Mostert. I'm big on Achane tonight too. I think Mostert's kind of getting, factored out of this thing at some point. So, things like the guys who are like severely underweight that I could definitely see, doing things, and that I'll probably be overweight on a guy like Demarcus Robinson, just that never gets the ownership. And just, a nice solid number 3 option in the offense, and Stafford has trust with him. And, that's even with both of the other guys healthy. God forbid one of those guys, gets hurt in game, which is something that's happened before, or gets ejected like last week. Then DeMarcus all of a sudden becomes exceptional. And that's just not a lot of ownership. Like if this is yesterday's 10-game slate or 12-game slate, I'm not thinking about, DeMarcus Robinson or some of these other guys, but on a showdown, you gotta uncover every stone out there. So I'm on guys like that. And who was it? The question in chat: what are your thoughts on Parkinson captain? Eric had that. Thoughts on Parkinson? Like I'm not on that one tonight. That's fine. I mean, he makes for a fine flex to me, but like captain, every game on a showdown game is just its own entity. Like I can't really carry over a whole lot of different stuff from the previous couple of showdowns. Like this one tonight, like on some weeks, a guy like Kobe Parker would have been a really good captain. Tonight, I just feel like there's going to be yardage and touchdowns in this game, and it's going to be somebody in here is going to have and it's hard to pin down between 2 really good running backs, 4 exceptional wide receivers, and 2 good quarterbacks. Who's going to be the guy? But I just feel like it's not going to be Colby Parkinson because he's not in that category. So that's I'm not on Colby, but maybe the other guys are.
TJ, I know we actually had a pre-show conversation. We were talking about this in DMs about Colby, and then somebody else, Don Easy's asking about Davis Allen, which might factor in that Colby Parkinson conversation, or Hunter Long, which seems even more ambitious. This is the gross stuff, man. We're already into the gross stuff. Thoughts as far as those players, and same sort of question of like anybody you're taking a huge stand on, well over, or just Xing out. I think you're running a bunch of lineups today, or did you hand build today? How many lineups are you making?
I have 3 main lineups, and then I hand build 3 other ones that are just kind of like hedge style lineups, essentially. But I hate it, but I'm taking shots on a lot of these cheap guys. I'm not playing any Hunter Long, but I'm playing a lot of Davis Allen. And I'll raise you in one more and say I'm playing Julian Hill, the number 2 /3 tight end for Miami.
Yeah.
Hill and Davis Allen are going to be my 2 cheapies of choice, but Allen I think would be my first choice, and Julian Hill number 2.
Chop said he wasn't much into the kickers today. Sanders for Miami. I wonder if does the blitz artificially pump up Josh Carty? Josh Carty's got to get an artificial bump, right, on the blitz, I would imagine. I don't know, but the kicker for the Rams is named Joshua. I guess I don't know him well enough to call him Josh. Are we in on the kickers here, TJ?
I have 1 kicker in 2 of my 3 lineups, but it's just because the salary sort of fit. I do like Jonnu better than both of the kickers, I think, but I'm going with the kickers above DeMarcus Robinson. I don't really love them though either. It's like one of the reasons why I'm going so often to the Davis Allens and the Julian Hills of the world is because I want to stack up these expensive guys and kind of avoid the mid-range because it's pretty gross.
It feels kind of Star Scrubsy, right? And that's what you guys are seeing as well. And if you can get 4 of those, just Williams looks awesome. Like Cup looks really good. Hill, you never really know. He's got a big variance, obviously. There's some other names being thrown out in chat. Craycraft. We haven't talked defense just yet.
If you're playing 150 lineups, just throw in put Craycraft and Hill and Davis Allen, Hunter Long, throw them all in the same bucket. I don't even hate the idea of doing something like play one of these guys in every lineup. And just mix and match the super cheap guys so you can get as much HN, Hill, Kyron Williams, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua as possible.
Who's the best player in the mid-tier? I think it's Waddle. Would you guys agree with that?
Waddle at 66 or Jonnu at 44?
Yeah, I guess it depends on how you define mid-tier.
Straight up, if I'm choosing one of Mostert and Waddle, I have the salary for either one. I think I'd rather Mostert.
Yeah. Chop said he was out on Mostert. He was just more in the HN.
I am for the most part too. I'm mostly also out on Waddle. So I don't have Waddle in any of my 3 lineups. But then I did do a Waddle captain lineup just as a solo entry into the Millie Maker for in case Hill is solely there to run routes and be a decoy.
I don't know who wants this. I'm not really sure who's stronger in FanDuel, but Carolina guys asking favorite GPP large field MVP for FanDuel. Of course, FanDuel, they don't charge you for the multiplier. So you just got to bank it. Kyron, I guess it could be Stafford, Tua, HN. How ambitious? It could be Cup. I'm surprised that he's like the 4th most as far as projection. You guys got, for large field stuff, obviously, your favorite captain MVP on FanDuel. Who's got a name for me?
Yeah, I'll say that when it's a night like this on FanDuel and you've got, like you said, 2 good running backs in this game, 4 good wide receivers, 2 good quarterbacks. The quarterbacks seem to go a little bit under-owned relative to like what they can do on FanDuel and their scoring and not being penalized for the salary. So for me, I think Tua offers a good bit of upside. Regardless, he could get into a great game script. He didn't even have to. And I don't think any of them gathered too much ownership. I guess Tua would be my favorite large field. And typically, I'm not going to say quarterback in large field on FanDuel, but tonight is one of those exceptions that I would do that.
So heads up, we're going to be pivoting to basketball in about 5 minutes or so. If you have football questions, we're going to save the last 10 minutes. Right up to the bell, 7:50. We're going to talk about we're going to answer the questions from chat from basketball and football. It's just tricky how this works with, both going off basically the same time, but this is the best we can do as far as making it work. TJ, did you have an answer? Who's your most ambitious captain? I think you said Waddle was one of them. Do you have like a really, really cheap captain to just fully load up, or is that not a route you've taken?
No, Waddle would be the cheapest route I'd do. I think if I was doing 150, maybe I'd take a couple shots on Jonnu at the captain position, but that would be about it. In terms of FanDuel, my favorite large field and single entry play is still Devon Achane. But for MVP, if I'm trying to get very different, I would want to go Tyreek Hill. I don't think a ton of people are going to do that there on FanDuel. And then the most ambitious I would do over there would be Jalen Waddle, because that's, again, one of those things where you can tell yourself a story that, hey, Tyreek Hill is only out there to run. He can't catch. His arm is not working. And so they're just going to be dialing up Waddle and using Tyreek as a decoy. I think in that scenario, you could view him as a potential low-owned MVP candidate. But HN is definitely my favorite. There's one last football question that I think we should hit on, then we can transition right to basketball. And that's both QBs, only one or neither in single entry. Honestly, from a DraftKings perspective, I am mostly fading the quarterbacks today. I have Tua in one of my main three, and then I don't have Stafford in any of them. On DraftKings, they're a little bit cheaper, on FanDuel, they're a little bit cheaper and easier to get to, and I'm more neutral. I don't really care if I have them or not. It depends just kind of if they fit. If I have 12K or 12.5 or 13, I'm more than happy to play them. But I think the biggest thing I'd want to hammer home on FanDuel is Devon Achane is $1,100. I think you hit the lock button even if you're playing 150. I think even if you're going 150, you play him in the flex or the MVP in every single lineup.
TJ, anything as far as the Sims? I see you're looking at it. I know you're showing it off. Is there something you wanted to show, or you've kind of touched on anything that SimLabs is showing us?
Yeah, touched on everything. I just wanted to make sure people could see the ownership projections and the optimal rate.
Chop, we gotta fire up the Plums play. Unless you got anything else.
Oh, no, Dean. Let's save the Plums until we're about to go off air.
Ah, okay. You're gonna tease him with some basketball and then drop the Plums on later on.
A little tease for him.
Okay.
And I mean, let's say if we wanted to, we usually give them away for free. But you know what? This show is free. Let's say 75 likes for the Plums plays. We got to have at least 75 to hit them at the end.
How much for one plum? 37 likes?
50. You get a single plum. You get one plum. You get Chop's plum. But I'm not. You don't get. I don't know where I'm going with this. I better stop before I say something I don't want to. But 75 likes for 2 plums, 50 for a singular plum.
I do see some questions and comments, and again, we're not ignoring them, but we have to move on and talk some basketball. We're going to come back to football. Football locks 8:15. We're probably not going to stay up all the way up to 8:15, but at least up to 8. We'll be on until the basketball lock. Okay. Trying to see if any basketball news has changed in the last so many minutes. Malik Monk, of course, is out. We knew that. That's not a big surprise. The 5-gamer, and Chop talked about it. This is an amazing sprint slate. I love it. 5 games all coming off at the same exact time. 5 teams in the back half of back-to-back. It's Houston, the Clippers, OKC, Sacramento, and Washington. For that, I think in part is one of the reasons why Freddie VanVleet is taking a seat, of course, the matchup as well. We're getting Troy Murphy back tonight. Coach has said he's going to play between 20 and 30 minutes. OKC, of course, life without Chet Holmgren. He's out for months. Big bummer. Bummer to my OKC ticket to win the Western Conference as well. But he should be back at some point. Kenrich Williams is off the injury report, and Hartenstein's coming back soon. Kuzma, speaking of the injury report, he's off the injury report. He's back for Washington. DFS, Dorian Finney-Smith, he's got an ankle, so he's not playing basketball tonight. Bud Carrington, last I saw, he's questionable. Chop, you mentioned Branham is out. I'm not sure how much that one matters, but sure, worth noting. Want to give a refresh to what we have here as far as lineup HQ, see if anything's changing on us. But TJ, you want to give me like an overview before we fully dive in? We can do it. I guess we can go game by game. Does that work for you guys? Or you want to do? Yeah, I think we can do that quickly enough. Yeah, we can do game by game. TJ, anything you have any as far as an overall big picture of this slate? I think it's awesome. I love the centers. There's a lot of centers I like. OKC looks great. Houston looks great. Houston looks really, really good. I'm having an issue playing too much Houston possibly. But what is your general assessment before we dive in?
Yeah, Houston is where we got to focus all our attention, right? And the good thing we got Houston's own up here helping Chop helping us out with the Houston fan. I don't know specifically where he lives, but the Houston fan helping us out over here. So that's going to be useful. But I'm going to have at least 2 of them in every lineup. I'm very close to walking Amen Thompson. All of these other games, I have it set that I don't want any more than 2 players in any of my lineups. But for the Houston team, I'm okay getting up to 4. Nothing really stands out outside of them. New Orleans has got a ton of injuries. Brooklyn's missing a couple guys. Cleveland's in a phenomenal spot, but nothing stands out. And I mean, OKC's missing Chet, but nothing stands out near as poppin' as Houston does.
Yeah, I have some thoughts on that game. We'll get to it soon enough. Chop, anything as far as big picture? Or you want to just dive in and do a little game by game?
Just dive on in and knock it out.
First game, Clippers. Clippers are on the road. They're in OKC. They're playing the back half of a back-to-back. They're playing against an OKC team. It's also in the back half of a back-to-back. 218 is the total. Clippers are 7-point dogs here. We did mention Chet is out. We might actually get some starting lineups because I'm curious who OKC is going to start. We're projecting Jalen Williams starting at the 5, which I think is possible. I think it's possible Dieng starts. We'll see. I think it's possible Kenrich Williams starts at the 5. I think it's possible that Caruso starts at the 5. That seems highly unlikely, but possible. Just kind of throwing it. It's really a fascinating game because Zubac on the other side is huge. He is a legit 7-footer. He's a 7-foot tall man, and he's going to be facing players basically the entire night that he has 5 inches on. And that's not even mentioning his girth. He's got the height and the girth, and everything goes through him in the paint. So I think Zubac is an amazing tournament play. We'll talk about that in a second. But, yeah, TJ, Thunder, Clippers, what do we got?
Clippers side of things. Yeah, Zubac is interesting because it seems like one of those days that, he could have 60 fantasy points or he could play 22 minutes because he just gets ran off the court. Maybe OKC plays this way different than they have been all year without Chet and just absolutely pick up the pace. So it's a great GPP spot. But Harden is really the only one I'd be interested in from a cash game perspective, I think. Zubac is cheaper on FanDuel than he is on DraftKings. Anytime that happens, I'm definitely interested in getting the guy on FanDuel. Outside of those two, I think it's really only potentially Kevin Porter as a value that I would have any interest in. On the OKC side of things, SGA is my top target. He sees a huge usage bump without Chet Holmgren on the court. Jalen Williams, I'm interested in far more on DraftKings than FanDuel, but he's in a good spot on both. And then Luguentz Dort is a salary saver I'm interested in. These cheapies on FanDuel, I don't really care about because they're not that cheap. On DraftKings, I'm probably a little more interested in getting to Luguentz Dort. And if you wanted to take a shot on Caruso or Wiggins or Wallace, I don't think or even Isaiah Joe, I wouldn't call you crazy. I'm just personally not getting there.
Yeah, Joe can get there through the 3. And we're going to see who's starting. We're assuming it's Kason Wallace. They have a lot of players, right? They have a lot of guys still, even with the, with Holmgren being out. Oh, the other thing I wanted to note, no team in basketball has given up more rebounds per game than the Thunder. They are the 3rd worst rebounding team percentage-wise, and they lost their biggest rebounder in Holmgren. It's an amazing rebounding spot for Zubac. I bet him over 12.5. I don't have a book that offers ladders. They offer ladders of up to 11, so that's useless for Zubac. I can see like a 20-20 game here, or at least 20 rebounds. I love Zubac tonight. The Harden thing, maybe tournament, sure, revenge, whatever. It's just I don't like shooters versus OKC. They're so good defensively. I would just take SGA, who's basically the same price. Both revenge games, right? Harden and SGA. Jump in here, Chop. Your thoughts as far as the Thunder and the Clippers. We should be theoretically getting a starting lineup here soon enough, and really curious what the Thunder throws at us.
Yeah, this particular game, the player I'll have the most of is going to end up being SGA after all the news that broke today, and the Chet Holmgren injury last night. It's SGA. He's pretty easy to afford right now after Fred VanVleet got ruled out, and we'll talk about that game in a little bit. But so SGA is going to be my most popular guy in this game. Then I was trying to save a little salary with Dort, Wiggins, Wallace, those guys. And like I'm running 150, so that's preface that this is not a cash game lineup. But I don't know if that's going to change now when I refresh the projections after they ruled out Jalen Smith. Doesn't sound massive, but you never know. Like that may bump somebody else up on another team like that, and they might overtake Wiggins or Kason Wallace or something like that as the preferred salary saver. So I have to see how that plays out.
I missed that news.
Yeah,
it just happened. Okay.
Jalen Smith ruled out for Chicago. So just, we'll see what the projections do with the rest of the Bulls on that one. But yeah, I'm with you on Zubak. Awesome spot here for him. He's been crushing it this year. That's probably the only Clipper. I mean, I like James Harden, and I wrote him up in the survey as a GPP guy, revenge spot, like you said. All those things come to mind. But I'm just not getting a lot of him right now because when they ruled out Fred VanVleet, it opened up Amin Thompson and Reed Shepard. I don't want to give away too much till we get to that game. But so then that makes SGA so much more affordable that I'm just not getting to a lot of James Harden right now. But I'll try to jam in some in GPPs because of the revenge factor.
I did play. I made a Zubac, SGA, and Jalen Williams, I believe, was my little mini game stack. I don't think we talked about Jalen Williams. I don't know if we did. Was he mentioned in passing? But he's a phenomenal play, and if he lands in your cast lineup, by all means, so be it. No issues with that. And yeah, the fringe stuff on OKC is tricky, but if you can land on the right guy amongst Caruso, Joe, Wallace, Dort, Wiggins, one of those at least gets you there, possibly two. Okay. Let's move on. Brooklyn, New Orleans. 210 is a total here. We know New Orleans is a mess defensively. They are getting Troy Murphy back. We're not projecting him to start. We're still projecting what JRE and Misi as well as Ingram and Boston Alvarado. Of course, we know Zion is still out for New Orleans. On the Brooklyn side, they lost DFS. Just pulling up the injury report. I want to make sure I don't miss anybody. Let's see. DFS is out. Nothing else is new there. Hawkins, not new. Herb Jones, not new. McCollum, not new. Yeah, okay. So Alvarado's going to play a boatload of minutes for sure. Claxton. So New Orleans, this is another one of those things I like. New Orleans gives up the most paint points in the league. They're actually tied with Washington. So I think it's an incredible spot for Claxton. And we've actually seen him play over 30 minutes this year. He's one of my favorite centers as well. Like I said, I love the centers today. Chop, where are you at as far as the Nets and the Pels?
Yeah. So I guess the guys I like the most in this game are Jose Alvarado for the reasons you mentioned, and Nicholas Claxton, believe it or not. I kind of like me a little Claxton here, and I'm going to have some Ben Simmons, and Boston and Ingram were fine. Those guys are all okay. And in general, this game, not as highly owned for me outside of Alvarado and Claxton. This is the second question I've heard in chat on Cam Thomas tonight. And Cam Thomas is what he is, man. You can play him any night just about in a GPP, and he could go off. So, yeah, he's a good GPP play. Always is if he's hitting his outside shots. He's phenomenal. If not, then that's fine. You probably weren't going to win anyway, but so you got that going for you. But, yeah, I'm a little bit on Ingram, a little bit on Boston, smidge of Ben Simmons, but I like Jose Alvarado and Nicholas Claxton here. That's my big takeaways from this game.
Chop, that was very kind of you. You corrected me in the chat, but you didn't call me out. You can call me out. Did I say I said Troy Murphy? Is that what I said? I didn't say Trey Murphy. Is that what I did?
Everybody else is calling you out. I didn't even correct you. You've been saying Troy Murphy, but I just let them know Troy Murphy is an actual basketball player. Played for Notre Dame and in the NBA for quite a while. I don't know if you remember him.
On the Knicks and the Warriors, I want to say.
Big, like 6'10", 3-point shooter guy. Yeah, no, he wasn't bad. So I thought maybe that's where you were going with it. I don't know.
With lead. Yeah. I don't know why I'm getting those confused, but yeah, it's not Troy Murphy. It's Trey Murphy. And 3-point specialist. They said 20 to 30 minutes. So maybe he starts. Do we have an official starting lineup just yet? We just got the Wizards. I thought there was a chance they would start Valanciunas. They're not. They're starting Poole, Carrington, Koulibaly, Kuzma, and Sarr. Cavs, Garland, Mitchell, Okoro, Mobley, Allen. Allen was so dreadful last night. Another good spot though for him because facing the Bulls and the Wizards are 1-2. No wait, is it the Bulls and the Bulls and New Orleans are 1-2 as far as giving up points in the paint, and Allen is certainly a guy that does live in there. Chop, what do you got as far as the Nets and the Pels? TJ.
Yeah, TJ's turn.
I don't want to talk to TJ today for some reason. I don't know why. And TJ's on mute.
I'm muted. That's why you didn't want to talk to me. I got for those watching on not just listening to us, but watching us on YouTube, make sure you're smashing that like button. We'll get the football Plums play right after this. But I also put up on the screen share here the FanDuel Cash Core. You got Amen Thompson, Reed, Kevin Herter, Jalen Williams, Jared Allen, Alperen Şengün. I also have it scrolling on the ticker here at the bottom. I have the DK Cash Core as well as the FanDuel Cash Core scrolling at the bottom. So for those of you playing cash games, those are the main targets. We're talking Brooklyn, New Orleans, right? Sorry, I was really focused on that.
Yeah, you're good.
On the Brooklyn side of things, I agree. I like Nick Claxton a lot. Big fan of him today. I'm getting some Jalen Wilson in GPPs. On DraftKings, I like Brooklyn quite a bit more than on FanDuel. On DraftKings, I'm getting a little Ben Simmons at 4,800. Jalen Wilson's only 3.8. I like him more there. And Zaire Williams is 3.7, so I'm playing some of him as well. I don't like the cheapies quite as much on FanDuel just because I don't think you need them. You play Reed Shepard, Herter, and Amen Thompson, and all of a sudden you can play whoever the heck else you want in your lineup. You got all the salary in the world, so you don't really need them there. Yeah. Jalen Wilson not starting. Zaire starting. They just did they just announce that?
Yeah,
still,
yeah.
I like both of those
still.
But we're getting all the starting lineups right now. Nice. So Nets are Schroeder, Thomas, Cam Johnson, Zaire Williams, Nick Claxton. I do think that bumps up Zaire Williams over Jalen Wilson. And that makes me like Williams on FanDuel quite a bit. Wilson, I don't know if I get there. I think both are still very viable on DraftKings. Rockets will start Thompson, Green, Brooks, Smith Jr., Şengün, what we accepted. Pelicans, Alvarado, Boston, Ingram, Murphy, and Missy, what we also expected. New Orleans side of things, I have a lot of interest in Alvarado. I have a little bit of Boston on DraftKings. I wouldn't get there on FanDuel just because he's too expensive on FanDuel. And then I like Brandon Ingram quite a bit. And that's it. Ingram, Alvarado, Boston on DraftKings, and just Ingram and Alvarado on FanDuel. I didn't put Alvarado in the cash core on FanDuel. I only put him on DraftKings. He is very cash viable on FanDuel still.
I'm not sure if he ran out the OKC starting lineup, but it is SGA, Isaiah Joe, Wiggins, Dort, and Jalen Williams. So, yeah, their tallest player.
SGA there it is.
SGA is 6'6", and I think Williams might be 6'6". Like I said, Zubac has got 6 inches on all these dudes. He's going to be. Did you watch the Edey thing when he was facing? I can't remember. It's a different kind of player, different concept, but different situation. But
I want to quickly mention Isaiah Joe in the starting lineup. Very much cash viable now. I'm not sure what we're going to project him for. We can refresh and get there and see. But Isaiah Joe is somebody that if I bump up to like 28 minutes, he becomes one of the best values on the slate. So he becomes very much cash viable as well. He's $3,600 on DraftKings. On FanDuel, he is 4.7. So nowhere near as exciting on FanDuel.
Also, he's very much reliant on the 3-point ball, so he's better on DK than he is on FanDuel as well. That's how he gets there, by making like 3 or 4 threes. Okay. Anything else as far as Brooklyn and New Orleans? We have every starting lineup with the exception of, I don't think we have the Kings or the Spurs, but I guess we'll get there soon enough. Well, we're not. Well, they're all starting 8 o'clock or locking 8 o'clock. We should move on to Washington. We kind of teased the Rockets a couple times. We did hear officially Amen Thompson is starting. No Freddie VanVleet, no FEV. If you've missed this, Washington is starting Sarr. I thought there was a chance they would start Valanciunas. He's a big boy, and Şengün's a big boy on the other side, but that's not what they're doing. Sarr is going to get abused by Şengün. TJ, your assessment of the Rockets and the Wizards.
We got a question. Can we rank the OKC punts? Yes, absolutely. We will rank them as soon as we get to OKC. Amen Thompson's near lock button for me would be both on FanDuel and DraftKings. I got Thompson on 90% of my lineups right now on DraftKings. I made a rule. I want at least one to two of Amen Thompson, Reed Shepherd, and I included Aaron Holiday all the way at the bottom of the screen in that list as well, just in case. Reed Shepherd, they're like, no, we're going to go Holiday instead of Shepherd. We need a veteran out there with no Fred VanVleet. We don't know if that's going to happen. I'm playing 150 lineups.
Okay.
So I'm mixing in a little Aaron Holiday. I got 10% Holiday, 50% Shepherd, 90% Amen Thompson. I got about 40% Eason and 40% Şengün. These are the top targets on the slate. I didn't even mention Jalen Green, but he is a great play too. Dylan Brooks is the only one I don't care about.
I think it's like, and we can ask Chop about this. This is his team, the Rockets, but Jabari's been losing ground to Tari Eason. He's been falling back. Like he's supposedly somebody part of their future, but just not been great. This seems like a spot where he can take advantage of it and sort of reclaim his spot. I'm curious your take on that. And Jalen Green's another guy that maybe he just takes 25 shots here. He just, no assurance they go in, but the opportunity is there for sure. Chat's talking about a potential blowout. Yeah, they're 12-point favorites here versus the Wizards, but no Freddie VanVleet, and Kuzma's back, so a little bit more talent there on the Washington side. Chop, your point of view here as far as the Rockets, and you talked about Reed Shepherd. It is a revenge game for Aaron Holiday, but man, I understand you're making 150, but I can't see Holiday being useful.
Would it shock me to see Aaron Holiday get a lot more playing time than Reed Shepherd? It would not shock me at all. Not at all. They've treated Reed Shepherd kind of with kid gloves so far, and man, when he's on the court, he seems a little shy to shoot the ball, and that's his number one building block for his NBA career is going to be being a great shooter. You got to shoot the ball, man. You can't be so hesitant. So I'm worried about that aspect of it. But Amen Thompson should get the big bump here. And so, I'm going to lock Amen in. Şengün's going to be good. Eason's going to be good. Strictly by the numbers. It's a different team, but it's a similar team than last year, but strictly by the numbers last year. If we're looking at who got the biggest raw bump when Fred VanVleet missed games last year, it was actually Dylan Brooks. And I know TJ is fading him. But it's just raw numbers, and it's like I said, it's a different team. Tari Eason was probably hurt for the majority of that time last year, and he's back now, and he's really good. And they got to find a way to get him on the court more. So I do like the Eason thing today. Jalen Green could go crazy, like that's who he is, man. It's either him or Şengün every night. One of them typically does really well. This is a very good matchup for either one of them. So one of them is going to go off tonight. I'm not saying that it's for sure going to be Şengün. It may be Jalen Green. I'll have him in a lot of him in GPPs for that reason, because sometimes he just gets hot, man. I don't know if you saw his dunk yesterday on Cade Cunningham.
Yeah.
That was a vengeful dunk because he has a history with Cade. But, yeah, as for Aaron Holiday could be like a slight pivot off of your Amen Thompson or Reed Shepherd if you're really heavily invested in them, because like I said, it wouldn't be surprising to see them give him more playing time at point guard in this scenario. And if he gets to hitting a couple 3-point shots at 3K, you're in good shape. Jabari, I'm not really. I mean, I know you said what you said makes sense, but yeah, man, I don't know about Jabari. And for the Wizards, I'm just not really at this point. Unfortunately, I'd love some good run back here, but I'm just not getting it. So
I don't have it either. Yeah, with Kuzma coming back, he's going to be on probably somewhat of a minutes limit, but he's going to eat enough on everybody else where you can't roster anybody else. I don't think that's kind of where I'm at. TJ's running 150. Maybe he has some Wizards he's throwing in the conversation.
Zero Wizards.
Okay, never mind. But TJ, you said, and I know you're multitasking, doing a bunch of different things. We'll cover the OKC stuff. We did talk about OKC, but we can circle back. We already did that game. We could definitely circle back.
Oh yeah, I kind of forgot. Apologies. Yeah, we'll run to OKC. Well, as soon as we're done this game, we'll do that. I forgot that we already covered them. My brain's all over the place trying to get these lineups in.
No biggie.
Doing all the stuff. But yeah, I did want to hit on them because a lot of people were asking about it in terms of the OKC cheapies. I would say, how do we rank those guys top to bottom? But for what it's worth, the reason I'm skipping right past what you said earlier is I'm just getting zero Washington for me today.
Yeah.
But in terms of OKC with Isaiah Joe in the starting lineup, how does that alter things for us? I think I go Joe, Wiggins, Dort, because they're also cheap. Like Dort's the most expensive one. How about you guys?
I have Dort first, but I'm not going to argue with you. I think I have a Dort, Joe, Wiggins. Yeah, that's big. And like again, you could play Caruso because all these guys are going to play like mid-20s, right? Like you said, the minutes projection is going to change. We probably gave him like we gave him 24, but I don't know if that's with the him being in the starting lineup. I don't think he was projected to be in, but he might get 27 now. You know, OKC runs their stuff, and it's good luck guessing the final 5 players for OKC. I thought they might dust off Dieng. We're giving him 10 minutes because he's actually a legit big guy. Now, he's not good, but he's big. And they need that against Zubac for 35 minutes.
I didn't realize how expensive Wiggins was on both sites as well, so I would definitely have Dort above him.
Chop, anything different there as far as the OKC cheapies?
Dort, Wiggins, and then I got Joe a distant third.
Flying Armor is asking LeVert in cash. I don't think so. It just says in general LeVert. Well, we'll get to Cleveland in a second. So we'll talk about Cleveland and the Bulls. Chop, your favorite Rocket. You said you're locking into Amen, right? You're just locking him in?
Yeah, I mean, might bite me. And I really don't know that they're going to entrust him with like this big, massive ball handling role. But yeah, I got to lock him in, man.
And he's got a versatility, right? He can play basically any position. You know, he can just kind of bounce around. He's just waiting for that one injury to get loose. And here it is with Freddie, at least for one night. Okay. Cleveland, Chicago, 237. That's a big boy total for sure. We know Chicago plays super fast. Even Cleveland is playing faster this year. I think they're still undefeated. Shout out to the land. Third best team in the NBA. Top 3 at least. Maybe some might say they're better. Yeah. And we have Levine is back. Levine's playing perfectly fine as far as his minutes, whatever minutes restriction he would have had. That is gone. Just want to see injury-wise. I don't think we have anything really, unless I missed something of note for – well, we had Smith get ruled out, but we don't really care. I don't think. That's a big deal. Chop, Cleveland, and the Bulls. What do you got?
Let me pull them up here. Yeah, Cleveland Bulls. Yeah, this is not a game I'm super heavy on. I will take some shots on Evan Mobley in this matchup. I will definitely take some shots on Donovan Mitchell because of the competition. Maybe a sprinkle of Darius Garland because when Mitchell doesn't particularly have his good games, then you know it's going to be Darius Garland coming in. So I like that. And I kind of like the only guy on Chicago I even vaguely have any trust in is Zach LaVine. And that's the route I'm going to go. The rest of them just not doing it for me. The Karis LeVert was mentioned earlier, and that's maybe just like just a small sprinkle in GPP. Justin, that's about it, man. I don't have any real trust in him at all. But so it's probably Mobley and Mitchell, my favorite targets from this game. And when I put them in the context of this 5-game slate, they're really not that popular for me in my builds.
Yeah, I'm with you as far as Levine. I do like Cleveland just because, again, the spot against everybody's getting there. Everyone's getting there versus the Bulls. Can you power rank the Cavs for me, TJ? Because, Allen had a rough game the other day, really, really bad. He was benched. This does seem like an awesome bounce back spot against Chicago, who's just so vulnerable inside as far as bleeding points. They're vulnerable everywhere. Mobley looks awesome. There's nobody to cover Mitchell, Spider. They all look good. I like Cleveland basically top to bottom. And I'm with Chop as far as Levine basically being my only bull I'm on. What do you got, TJ? Anything differently?
I'm very interested in their top 4 and have no interest in anybody else, really. I X'd out Chicago completely. I don't have any Bulls today. But I like Jared Allen and Evan Mobley both a lot. Donovan Mitchell's priority 3 for me. And then Garland 4, it's kind of same thing as Chop, only getting a Garland and for like a just in case Mitchell has a bad game. But it's Allen 1, Mobley 2, Mitchell 3 for me in terms of priority. But I like all 4 of them quite a bit. I think Nikola Vucevic is more viable on FanDuel at only 7,700, but on DK I didn't play any of them.
Yeah, I don't. It's not that I hate Vuk. It's just I really like the centers tonight. I think I can be a little bit picky, and that's why I didn't get to him. But he's fine, right? In about 5 minutes or so, once we knock out the last game, we'll answer questions in chat. Do kindly start loading those questions up. I see him scrolling. We're going to do our best to get to him. And let us know what sport. We probably can figure it out. But yeah, if you have any NFL questions for Showdown, we want to answer those as well. Okay, last game. We did get the San Antonio Spurs. Vassell still coming off the bench. Paul, Castle, Shimpenny, Harry Barnes revenge game, and Wemby taking on the Kings. I thought it was interesting. The Kings, small sample, but they're bottom 5 last year as well, as far as getting blocked. They give up the least amount of blocks this season. Not saying you can't play Wemby, but when he fully gets there, it's because he has like 9 stocks. All right. Kings are on the road on a back half of a back-to-back. So they're traveling as well. No Monk, Fox, Herter, DeRozan, Murray, Sabonis are on the start. And we always talk about Tibbs, but dude, Mike Brown is just like Tibbs. He loads up the minutes. These guys does not care, especially the studs, Sabonis, DeRozan, Fox playing upper 30 minutes. Even if it's back half, back-to-back, who cares? Chop, Kings and Spurs, thoughts?
Yeah, so the big one for San Antonio, Wemby, I'm going to be way under the field, so that's a little bit risky and scary, but I've got to take a stand right there. I'm going to be under the field on that one. For the Kings, their big 3, Sabonis, Fox, DeRozan. Yeah, I could see being, on par with the field, maybe a little bit under, just because I like some of the other games better. The big one for me in this game is Kevin Herter, which I'll play some on DraftKings, but I'm virtually going to lock him in on FanDuel. It's just too good of a price tag on FanDuel. So I'm with the Red Rocket over on FanDuel and a little bit on DraftKings. Generally speaking, this game doesn't. This is probably the game I have. I don't know. I might have the least amount of exposure to this game in general when you factor in everything. So I'm not super high on this game.
So he's Red Velvet, the Red Rocket. You're thinking of Andy Dalton, but my
bad. All the redheads, man.
There was a Red Rocket before Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton stole that.
A quarterback?
Nope. One of the original stretch 4s in the NBA.
Scalabrini?
Matt Bonner.
Yeah, for the Spurs.
It was he got the nickname for the Raptors, actually. That's where it came from. He'd hit threes and they'd go, the Red Rocket for 3, all the way from
Saskatoon. Is it a Red Rifle? I think it's Red Rifle.
You might be right. You might be right. You might be. I think Dalton was the Red Rifle and Bonner was the Red Rocket.
I'm not sure. Your thoughts here as far as this last game, TJ, before we jump over to the chat and knock out their questions.
Herter is a priority, especially on FanDuel, just like Chop said. He's a cash game play over there. I'm getting to a little DeRozan, Keegan Murray, and Domantas Sabonis in tournaments, but that's about it for me. I will switch the screen share here over to, and I'm not getting to any of the other side really at all, but I'll switch the screen share over to what I'm doing over here on DraftKings. I got about 30% of Alvarado, Reed, SGA, and Harden. Priority 2 for me is Brandon Ingram, and then mixing in Porter Jr., Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Ben Simmons, Schroeder, and Holiday is just kind of like deep flyer tournament plays. Shooting guard, 92% on Thompson today, 30-ish% of Zaire, Joe, and Reed Shepherd. Got 20% Boston, 20% Green. I thought I'd be getting a lot more Herter than this, if I'm being honest, only 17%. That surprised me a little bit. Small forward position, just an absolute ton of Thompson and Eason, 92 and 57%, 30% Jalen Williams, 20% Ingram, 20% Wiggins, but Amen Thompson and Tari Eason, getting to just all those guys over here in absolute tons. As you can see, a very tight pool at power forward. Eason, Jalen Williams, Aaron Wiggins, Evan Mobley, Keegan Murray, DeMar DeRozan, whole pool. And then at the center position, same thing. Şengün, 60%. 40% Allen, 30% Claxton, 20% Zubats, almost 20 for Sabonis, almost 20 for Wemby, and 15 for JV. I don't really care if he comes off the bench. I still think he is somewhat interesting for tournaments. That's it from me. Let's hit some QQs.
Did you think it was weird he wasn't starting Valanciunas? Like, if you're ever going to start him, and they started him earlier in the year against another big. I can't remember who it was.
It did feel like the spot, but we'll see. I could see something like Sarr picking up 2 early fouls, and he plays extra minutes anyways.
Okay. Derek wants to know, Chop, DK tournaments, Eason or Herter?
Tournaments, definitely Eason for the upside.
B-Shot's asking about my picture on Lineup HQ. I'm wearing regular glasses, but when you go outside, it like adjusts for the light, so they turn into sunglasses. I wasn't trying to like wear sunglasses, but that's how that worked out. Darren wants to know, TJ, FanDuel Williams versus Mobley. I assume it's Jalen Williams.
Yeah, so that one I'll just see if he gave a format afterwards. It's for cash. So if assuming you already have Jared Allen, I would go Jalen Williams there. Oh no, for cash it's Jalen Williams no matter what. I'll throw the questions at the two of you here from Discord just to make sure we hit the Discord ones, and I'll let you go back to YouTube for those. So FanDuel GPP, Dean, who do you like better, Zubats or Şengün? Since you do really like Zubats today.
I mean, like the correct answer is Şengün, but the fun answer is Zubac.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree there. Chop, DK, GPP, Zubats, and Isaiah Joe, or Jalen Green and Dort?
Jalen Green side.
Is the NFL group order not working in Lineup HQ? It was working for me. I looking at group stuff. I don't know why it wouldn't be. DK Cash, SGA and Herter, Ingram and Claxton, or Mobley and Allen.
Oof.
That first one's got to be like SGA without Chet is like cash game money, and then you get the cheap Herter too. That's got to be like the chalk answer.
I was thinking 1 or 2. Yeah.
Chalk is good in cash.
I like that too. Yeah, I'm totally good with that. I like the SGA Herter side. Back to you, Dean. That's it from Discord.
Okay. All right. I thought I was excited. I get to answer questions. I never get to answer questions, but which is perfectly fine. Tyler wants to know on DK, Zubac or SGA at utility. Well, how do we answer that? Because that's two distinctly different prices. If Zubac forward at 7.6 or cheaper. Yeah, TJ, I don't know. I'll tell you this. I tried to build every lineup today with 2 centers on DK. I think there's one where I didn't, but I think that's a good thought process. But of course, SGA is a better raw points player. TJ, who benefits most with this is Butto asking, with Monk being out? It really solidifies Herter.
Yeah.
Ellis might be kind of sort of somewhat sneaky as like a 6-man, like defensive guy, but I think it just solidifies Herter more. Chop, they're talking about LeVert. Did we mention LeVert? I don't think we're.
I would just like to say I nailed it. Herter is Red Velvet, Bonner is Red Rocket, and Dalton is Red Rifle.
Okay. I don't remember which ones we committed to, but I trust that you got it right. I know for sure Red Velvet is Herter.
Yeah, I didn't know that one. I just remembered Rocket for Bonner and Rifle for Dalton.
Any thoughts as far as what did I just drop? LeVert? Anybody like LeVert tonight?
No, not in particular. I mean, there's like, I don't know. Am I missing? I guess the third time we've talked about LeVert. Am I missing something on the
questions, man?
No, I'm just like Cleveland, right? Against Chicago. I mean, he's been solid in his role, but I just don't know that there's upside there. So I assume we're talking about GPPs, and there seems like a lot of guys 5,100 or under his price range that have more upside tonight.
TJ, NFL, we have a last spot for Don Yeezy, Waddle or Mostert on DK.
Depends the rest of my lineup. If I have someone from the Rams passing game at captain, I would do Mostert. If I have one of the other Miami players or Kyron Williams, I would probably do Waddle.
Travis, favorite DK cash guard below 4K. Williams on Brooklyn, Joe or Shepard. I would say Shepard for sure not. I would say you pick one of the two guys that are starting, Joe or Williams. Chop, you have a lean amongst those two?
What's the two guys?
Isaiah Joe or Williams for Brooklyn, cash. Cheapy. Zion Williams.
Oh, man. Let me see. I'm going to lean Joe. But it's slight.
TJ, Eric wants to know Cam Thomas or DDR? DeRozan.
DDR.
Couple microwaves there.
DDR if you want floor, he's going to get you 38 points,
Mhm.
no less than 35, no more than 40. Cam Thomas will get you 22 or 56.
So play Cam Thomas if you're playing tournaments.
I mean, depends at the rest of your lineup, what you're kind of looking for.
Yeah, I do agree with
At
that.
a certain point, you need some mean score, you know?
Champagne or Joe FanDuel tournaments when we major.
Joe.
Although we said Joe, his price on FanDuel is not great, if I remember correctly. But if it's amongst those two, Champagne's fragile. He's the one that might get hurt.
Fragility, Dean. Fragility.
With Vassell being back, I think he's going to get punished. I think. Mabs wants to know DK single entry chopper, Cam Thomas or Powell. We didn't talk about him at all. I think it's Cam Thomas. So
yeah, man, for sure, no doubt about it. It's Powell just doesn't really like. He's all right, man, but I don't know.
Did we hit the 4K guard questions? So 4K left at guard in DK tournaments, and then DK cash. Choose one between Williams, Joe, and Shepard.
Yes, just asked that one. Let's see. Asked about Cam Thomas, DDR. Do we have enough likes for Plums? Where are we at as far as Plums?
We do, and I also got one more Discord one from you, Dean. Jalen Williams and Isaiah Joe. This is DK single entry. Jalen Williams and Isaiah Joe, or Dort and Jalen Green.
The first one.
Joe and Mobley, or Dort and Allen for a tournament chop.
Man, that's weird. That's a tough one. I would probably lean towards Joe and Mobley just because I kind of think Joe and Dort are interchangeable, so they cancel each other out, and I would rather have Mobley than Allen. So,
Dean, this is for FanDuel GPP and cash. They're doubling down on it. Donovan Mitchell or SGA?
Golly, man.
I mean, it's different prices, but SGA is the better play. You're asking a build question, basically. But yeah, who's going to score more points? Almost, I shouldn't say definitely, but very likely SGA. I like Mitchell too.
Agreed there. We're 1 minute left to lock. Make sure you get your lineups in. That's it for basketball questions. So we look like we nailed it. Is Kuzma on the radar? Sorry if you guys answered that. No, he's not on the radar for me.
Tough matchup and probably limited to some degree as far as minutes. We're only giving him 29, and it's like full price. I can't see it. It's not for me.
Dean, who do you like better today? Straight up, Puka or Cup?
Cup. You?
Yeah, I have a weird feeling about. I mean, I don't know if it's in my plums or what, but I have a weird feeling about Puka Nacua today. I have a feeling he's gonna have a good game. I have Cup in my main lineups, and I'm worried about it. 7.9K left. Waddle and Mostert, or go lower to Sanders, Carty, or Smith with HN captain. I think you go Waddle with that lineup, Yeezy. I think you go Waddle. But we've reached enough likes. I think it's time for the Plums play. Chop, who you feeling in your Plums today?
It almost got spoiled here. But held on to it. Plums play of the night. I'm feeling it, man. My man has established himself as a number one wide receiver in the league and on his team. My man got ejected last week. He's going to come back very vengeful tonight, I think. I think it's Puka time, man. I think that he has I would say he has this great chemistry with Stafford, but so does Cup. But Puka's a little bit younger and more and a little bit fresher in his body. I think that gives him an advantage over Cup these days. I just feel like when both of those two guys are on the field now, it's Puka's team as far as receiving. So I'm going Puka, and I think he has a big bounce back here this week after getting the ejection last week.
TJ, see those Plums, raise them.
The hard part is like Chop's right. Like I feel the same way, and I think he's like spot on. And I don't have Puka in any of my three main lineups right now, and I just feel horrible about that.
You got 15 minutes.
I'm going to change one of these up before that game locks, or just add a whole nother team altogether. I don't even know, but I really like Puka in this spot. My Plums play is going to be Devon Achane. I think he's just going to go absolutely crazy today. I realize it's chalky, but FanDuel and DraftKings, I would lock him in. I'd play him in 100 lineups, either at the captain MVP or flex today. It's Devon Achane for me.
I got another question for you guys before you step aside and go. Give me the final line. Tell me the final line for Tyreek Hill tonight, because I feel like he's got a big variance. Chop, what is Tyreek Hill's final line tonight?
Okay. Now I'm going the ambitious route here. Like, I'm not going the median route. I'm going the ambition route. I really think that somewhere down inside, I think he's got to break out at some point this season, a monster game. I think it could be today. I think we're looking at 7 receptions, a couple of long ones. So let's go 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's the ambitious one.
Yeah. TJ?
What was it? Sorry?
Can you predict the final line tonight for Hill, for Tyreek? What's his final line tonight? How many catches, how many yards, any touchdowns, dances, ejections, rushing
6
yards?
catches for 117 yards, no touchdowns.
All right. Chop, who would you pair with Tua as MVP? Carolina guy wants to know. I guess that's a FanDuel question.
If I'm not really worried about salary or anything, I think it's a Tyreek breakout game. So I would go that route.
All right, boys. Apologies, we could not get to every basketball question. There's some that kind of were there, but did our best to knock out as much as possible. Do hit that like button your way out. We do appreciate y'all hitting the buttons, hitting the things. Do want to mention Splash Sports. They have DFS pick'em games now, if you're not aware, where you can build 2, 3, 4 entries. Take more, take less. You receive a payout of 3x, 6x, 12x, depending on how many you get right. From now through November 17th, new users sign up using the promo code ROTO10. Get a 20% off all quick picks entry fees in November. Back as playable bonuses on December 1st. Bonus maxes out at $1,000. This is one of the most significant rake-back offers we've seen in years in DFS. Again, use the promo code ROTO10 at sign up for Splash Sports. Check out the link in the description for more details. Also want to shout out Shot Quality. If you want access to some of the most advanced NBA data in the market, get Shot Quality projections for Lineup HQ. That's RotoGrinders.com/Shot Quality. 1 month for $40 for the entire season, all year long. $200 if you want to give it a test run. You want to see what it's like. Get 3 days for less than $10. TJ, Chop, anything else before you step aside and get out of here and make way for the games?
Make way for the game. Smash the like button on your way out.
That was TJ. That was Chop. Appreciate it. Yes, for sure. Smash, caress, touch, whatever your additive of choice is. Hit that like button. Good luck tonight. Win something. We're out of here.